Hello guys, and welcome to another David Zimaleta. In today's video I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the changes that's coming to my channel, and one of them is I want to talk a little bit more about Expedite and actually provide some tips and tricks for you guys how you could actually make money in Expedite, especially in the times ahead. Currently, of course, the way the Expediting is actually going right now, it actually is very similar to 2009, and I have worked in 2009 in Expedite. I did start back in 2007. And why am I saying 2009? Well, in 2009, economy has crashed and there was hardly any loads. It was very difficult to survive, and I actually survived in that time. Not only that, I actually have prospered, as I actually went on. Of course, like a little bit later on, once 2012 hit, when I actually had to start over in Expedite, I had to start all over again, and that's because I got out of Expedite in 2011. I sold everything, moved to Florida, enjoyed 1 year of living basically debt-free, stress-free, just renting basically, and I was trying to look, for something else, and I really could not find myself. Not only that, I kind of ran out of money because it was very difficult to find a job in Florida. Little did I know. But of course, it's not that I really wanted to go back to a job. I wanted to have my own business, but it is very difficult to have your own business if you don't have your own property to do it on. Like I have a property like right now, and especially it's really difficult if you don't have some kind of work truck. So when I sold all my vans, I didn't have one anymore. I just had an Audi TT, and that's it. So you could do some courier work with that, but even that was basically very, very slim. But anyways, that's not what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. I do want to actually tell you guys that up ahead, I'm going to have some videos that's actually coming up, and I'm going to explain to you guys some of the expenses that you're going to be facing in Expedite, especially if you're somebody new that's actually getting into Expedite. And why am I really saying that? Well, I keep getting questions upon questions upon questions, emails, and then questions on YouTube. Every time it's all the same questions, and it seems to me like I've covered those topics. Maybe I didn't cover them well enough. Maybe they're buried somewhere. Maybe I've deleted the video, because I do that sometimes too. I go back to a channel, and if it didn't get any views, it wasn't getting much likes, I just go ahead and get rid of it. You might ask, why? Well, I kind of think that if the video is not making you, not getting any views, it's not getting any likes and stuff like that, it's actually kind of like hurts your channel overall. And because I do want to help as many of you guys as possible, I think that actually hurts my chances at doing that, because the discoverability of these videos are going to be very limited to the very few that are lucky to actually find the information. And I know that might sound funny, lucky to find my information, right? But it's kind of interesting. I was kind of thinking that too. But turns out people actually want my information, what I actually have. And probably for the most part, I've been doing it for 13 and a half years. And of course, right now I'm out of the Expedite, but that doesn't mean I don't have any connections left in Expedite. I worked with many different companies. I've worked really well with them, and I have access to at my fingertips. I could call any one of those companies, find out how things are doing, how things are going, how drivers are doing and stuff like that. But that's actually a little bit less important. You always have to plan when it comes to Expedite that there's going to be slow times ahead. You have to plan for those things. And if you don't plan for those things, well, you're pretty much planning to fail. You might not be planning to fail per se, but that's actually ultimately that's going to happen. I think anytime you actually do something, when you're doing an Expedite business, you have to kind of think ahead about it. Yes, it is a business. This is not a job. With business, there's coming certain responsibilities. You don't have a boss to really tell you what to do. That means you have to do it. It is not simply buying a van, getting your driver license, your insurances and stuff like that, and start driving. It's a lot more than that. And if you really don't think about Expediting as a business, you will quickly find out that this business is going to actually cost you money, not make you money. And one of the ways that you could actually help yourself is you have to get the right van. Right van is going to be very important for you. So there's going to be two things that's actually going to really matter. Is the van reliable? Is it like fuel efficient? Because you will be putting on a lot of miles when it comes to actually expedite. So if your van is not very fuel efficient, well, guess what? It's going to be taking all your money from you. So you need to make sure you calculate that into your equation. You also have to think about the reliability, which I just said. If the van is not very reliable, well, then it's going to be taking all your money too. So that is those two things that are related to the van: reliability, and of course, you know, the van itself. But the other things that you're going to need to be looking at besides the fuel efficiency and the reliability, you're going to be needing to look at the insurance. If you get the wrong type of insurance, it could mean it's going to be the difference, kind of like a night and day difference, really. You could either be successful in it or just completely fail just because of your insurance. You got to be very careful about that. Some companies out there, I'm not going to name any names, but you probably know who they are. They actually overcharge for insurance like crazy because they are selling us the policy of the trucking, commercial trucking liability insurance, which is $1 million liability, $100,000 cargo. So the semi-truck drivers are paying basically for the same type of policy, except they also get bobtail, they get for the trailer, whatever else. They might have some endorsements, but ultimately we're getting charged a lot of money for that. So I have some tips and tricks when it comes to actually insurance. One of them I will mention right now. I think that we should actually do two things. You should get a regular type of liability insurance for your vehicle from one insurance company, and then you get a commercial insurance company to cover the commercial liability for your vehicle. Maybe it's just going to be that same company that provides you both, but you're going to ultimately need to do it that way. Why? Well, here's why. I think that when you're actually not transporting the load, you're still paying for that insurance. And as far as I know it, anytime you're going to call your insurance agent and you're going to tell them, you're going to say, you know what, I want to drop my coverages, or I want to, I'm switching to a different insurance provider. What they're going to do is they're going to send you money back, which is going to be like a prorated type of money. They're going to send it to you back. So that means technically you could actually do that. It's not like there's a contract, they're like, no, you have to stay. So that opens up a loophole the way I see it. So this means you could just call them up and you say, you know what, I'm in Laredo right now. Things are not busy, yet I'm paying for this really expensive policy. Why don't you drop my coverages down right now to just covering my van? If you got full liability for your van, like insurance, which, you got the collision on there and everything like that, then just keep it at that. But get rid of the commercial side of it. And then as soon as you get a load, call them up. Hey, I need insurance again. Can you now give me the $1 million liability, $100,000 cargo again? And of course, they're going to be pretty annoyed with that. I could imagine they're going to be even pissed. But hey, what are you going to do, right? If you're sitting there, you're not expediting for that 4 days, who's going to be like, why should you have to pay for that? You see, it is slow now. They are overcharging. So, it almost kind of is going to need to come down to kind of like negotiating with those insurance companies as to how often do you use this type of policies. And of course, guys, this video gonna drag on a little bit about insurance. We will be getting into other things and expenses and all this other mumbo jumbo right on this board, and some of it right here, and some of them I'm gonna be popping up on the screen. But this is an idea that I had for a while, and I think it needs to be done and it needs to be said, because what happens is when truckers get this commercial liability insurance, right, they're working every single day. They're constantly getting loads, and insurance companies, they know that the trucker stays moving, he stays busy, and he's paying for that, every single day, obviously, earning him money, and that means his insurance ultimately breaks down per each day that he uses or per job. So it's going to end up costing him a lot less, for each job for insurance than it would to, like, say, like Expedited, like me or you. And I know I'm not expediting right now, but obviously I'm going to refer to myself because that's actually a really important part of the equation. And you never know, I might be getting back into expediting. I really, expediting is not something I don't like, and I didn't quit because of that. I quit because I can. That's the thing. That's actually also really important, is that you establish yourself in life that if you can quit something and you don't want to do it anymore, you can just do that. If you want to take a vacation, you can do that. So it's part of the freedoms, something I also talk about on this channel. Not going to be the topic of this video, but you could kind of see how that is actually really important. So I'm kind of thinking the negotiation portion needs to begin like this. You need to take a look at your calendar and all the jobs that you have been doing for the whole year. You need to calculate all of those jobs that you've done for that insurance. Let's say you've done, during the course of the year, 12 months, let's say you've done 120 jobs, right? So I really don't, I don't feel like I'm going to be that good at math today, but so that kind of like equivalent to about 10 jobs per month. And I think on an average, that's probably going to be about right. It's just kind of funny. I just threw that out there, but between 10 and 15 jobs ultimately is how much you're going to be getting, because you're not going to be getting a job every single day. You're going to have a job, skip a day or skip 2 days. So ultimately it's going to be between 10 and 15 jobs per month. So that means you need to tell that insurance company, say, listen, why am I paying for these 30 days for the insurance if I'm only using it 10 days out of the month? Then only charge me for those days, because if I'm not going to be using it that day, then why should I have to pay for the days that you're not using? You see what I'm saying, guys? Yes, it might be annoying, but you're going to need to be really nice to your agent and actually talk to him and say, listen, buddy, look, it's a $14,000 policy, and believe me, guys, some of you paying that much. It is super, super, super unfortunate. That's how it is. And with $14,000, I'm sad to say, you're not going to be able to really survive with $14,000. $7,000, okay. 75, okay. 7,500, not 14,000. That is way too much. I've seen people get like an actual business loan just to cover that. And the truth of the matter is that next year you're gonna have to do the same thing, because you're really not gonna get ahead, especially if you have a family, you have kids, you have a wife at home, you have a mortgage, you have a van payment. Believe me, guys, you're really not gonna be able to do that. So one of the other things that I see all the time is that newcomers to this business, they get in and they buy themselves a new van, obviously, because they don't want the stresses of having breakdowns. So they're like, I don't have $10,000, let's say, for like a used van, but I have this $1,000 down payment or $5,000. So they're gonna go ahead and do the down payment. They're gonna get the van. Half of the time they don't do any down payment. As a matter of fact, I would recommend, if you're gonna be doing that, don't even do no down payment, because chances are if you're gonna get into the accident with that vehicle, nobody's gonna give you that down payment back. So that's actually one of the dangers. Let's say you give like $5,000-$7,000 payment. Well, what happens down the road? You total that vehicle, somebody totals it for you. Well, the insurance company is going to pay off whatever's left on a policy. Well, you're still stuck with the loss of $7,000, $5,000, $3,000, whatever you put down. You're going to be stuck with that. Not only that, guys, if you're picking up a new van and you're not getting gap insurance, that's really bad. I don't want to say the words, but you know how bad it is. Like, why would you? I just spoke to somebody like about a year ago, one of Expeditors that I know. He bought a brand new van, had it for 2 years, put a lot of miles on it, really loved the van, flipped the van. Insurance company paid for whatever they paid for the van. He didn't have gap insurance. They stuck him with a bill for $10,000 on top of what he paid. So who knows what he paid in down payment. So down payment's lost, all the payments are lost, all the interest he paid on that van is lost, and now he has a $10,000 bill to pay. I really don't know how he's doing. I got his number, but we kind of lost contact, because I have a lot of people that meet me over the years, and we haven't contacts, and then I change my phone numbers all the time, so we lose contact. Yeah, so that's actually the dangers about not getting gap insurance. And I think it's just really smart. If you're gonna be getting a new van, yes, it's gonna be like a little bit more costly, but you have to think about it. Look, winter is coming. There's gonna be snow. Somebody might not be able to hold their van or truck or car the proper way on the road, and they're gonna crash into you because they're sliding in black ice. There's no control over that. So you total your van, you total it. You don't have to flip it. And that means insurance will only cover what the van is actually worth. So whatever they see the miles on that van, that's actually what they're going to be covering. They're not going to cover your van. Like, say you have a $40,000, van, and you just had it for maybe like 5-7 months. You still maybe owe $35,000 on it. They're not going to give $35,000 for it. They're going to say, you know what, you put about $70,000 on that, your van is only worth $27,000 or $25,000. That's what we're going to give you. And the gap covers the rest. Gap, you pick it up at the dealer. You pick it up the gap. I think it's another insurance that they sell, but you're able to take the gap, pay off the rest of the balance, and get yourself another van, probably from that same dealer, and you could keep going. But in my friend's case, when this happened to him, he couldn't keep going. He had to go work for somebody else. So he's a driver for somebody else now. Who knows how that's turned out, because, you know, he's got wife, kids, and he was already working like a workhorse, and you know, now it's going to get that much harder, because now he doesn't keep all of the money he was making. He's making a lot less. But sometimes drivers actually make more. You know, if you do stuff incorrectly as a Sprinter owner, as an owner operator, if you don't do things correctly, then half of the time you're making less than a driver. You know, so it's really important to plan. So one of the other things I do want to mention is, whatever van you have, especially if you just bought a used van, you paid cash, make sure you learn how to work in that van. I see more and more every day 2010s, 2014s, 2012 vans, 2015, and gosh, these seems like New Year's. I mean, mine's 2006, so those like seems like really New Year's. They're broken. People don't know what to do with them. They can't fix them. They really don't know. I get these questions. Hey, I got the Sprinter. It doesn't start. We don't know why. Well, I don't know why either, because I'm not seeing your van, so I don't know the reason. And besides, the newer stuff, it's a lot more harder to actually repair. This is why I kind of recommend the T1Ns for the do-it-yourselfer, because with the T1N, at the very least, I have the videos, so you guys could actually avoid the headaches, and you could just go do it yourself. With something new, shoot, a lot of that stuff I don't even know, because I mean, I don't have the right gear for that, anyways. So how should I know if I haven't experienced those problems? Lucky me, I didn't. But I think there's a strategy behind new van. So if you are getting a new van, then you need to consider trading up every 2 years, at the very minimum. If you could trade up every year, I think that's going to be even better. You're not going to really make it financially with that, but at least you're not going to be stuck with the bill that you're going to be repairing a new van, because I think once you started the new van route, you just kind of need to continue that, on and on and on. But that being said, let's get back to the insurance, guys. It is a real, I think, possibility of you contacting your agent, speaking to the agent very nicely. Don't be like, speaking mean to him just because you got a really expensive policy, because the really expensive policy could reflect many things. One of them being is, if you have a bad credit, you're going to have a really expensive policy. If you have a new van, you're going to have an expensive policy. If your van is, if it's new, you have to buy the full coverage for it. So you can't just buy simply liability. So that means you're covering the full price of the van, and then of course the expediting portion. So all these things, you need to really take them into account. But I know one thing is, trucking liability for commercial trucking insurance for these vans that we're driving, expedite insurance, it's very expensive, and it's not getting any cheaper by the day. It's actually getting more and more and more expensive, and that's not good. So I want to do my best to try to give you guys best advice. If you are going to get that expensive policy, if you have that expensive policy right now, then maybe if you make it to Laredo with your past experience, you're stuck there every other day. So you might need to be able to drop the coverages down some. Maybe you don't get rid of the commercial policy, because if you do, your company that's holding the certificate of insurance, whatever it's called, I don't know why I'm not really saying it correctly, but they want to be a certificate holder, for the insurance. So you need to send them that, and if you dropped it completely, then they're going to be notified saying you don't have any coverages, so chances are you're not going to be able to have the job anyway. So you have to be really careful how you word this type of situation. So I think dropping the coverages way down, like let's say you had $1 million, well, drop it down to like 100,000 coverage. It's not going to completely get rid of the policy, but at the same time, it's going to allow you to save money. Also, you may need to contact your company that you're working for and say, you know what, do I really need this 100,000 cargo? Do I really need this million liability? If I'm carrying this under your authority, I mean, shouldn't you be the one that's actually worrying about this extra cost? I mean, companies that provide you loads, they are the ones that have to have commercial liability insurance and cargo insurance for their own authority, which is MC number and their DOT number. So they're giving you their numbers for you to work with them, right? So you are, when you're just an owner operator and you're not working under your own authority, they require you to have a million liability, 100,000 cargo, when in reality they are the ones that's required to have the 1 million liability and 100,000 cargo, probably even less, to cover their freight for their MC, because you're not allowed to transport any freight without motor carrier authority. So I don't see why they get us to carry the freight for them, and they're taking a big cut of it, and you don't get to really see what they're actually making. You only get to see the money that they tell you they're going to pay you, and at the same time you're taking a full risk for the load, which would be the million liability and 100,000 of cargo. I could understand the cargo part, can't really understand the million liability part, because they should be the one that's worried for that, because you're not the one that's got the authority. So I think for that, really needs to be some negotiations going on. I know it's been like that for a very long time, but it doesn't really make much sense on the owner operator side, because you should just have a policy, maybe like a bobtail policy. Like, for instance, let me make an example. I worked with a company that's called Allstate Express. It's one of the few companies I worked with. I worked with a lot of them, but Allstate Express, I really liked them when I used to work with them. They were pretty fair. And one of the things I noticed when I actually started working with them, my insurance policy was a lot cheaper. Yes, they charged me for insurance. They charged me for the satellite on the vehicle. They charged me for some other things that I really didn't like and I really didn't care for. But come to think about it now, it's actually a lot less expensive than what you guys are paying for now. Maybe like 2 to 3 times less expensive. But what they did have me buy is just $1 million bobtail insurance. So it's a lot different. So my insurance, instead of, let's say, like being like $700 per month, dropped down to maybe like only like $170 to $200. So that is a big difference. Yet, of course, they're probably charging me like $350, $400 for insurance every month. So when you take $150, you add it to that, so you're about $650, $700. So ultimately, not a huge difference, but yet, here's the important thing is that company is actually, taking the responsibility for their own motor carrier number. It is, of course, a big company. I really don't know if they're in existence anymore, but because I don't really see too many of the Allstate stickers for a while. Same thing with Nations Express. I don't know. I don't see them. I know they got bought out by Load One, but for a while, at first I didn't see them. So maybe they're getting ready to get bought out. I don't know. But at least I think it's really fair that, they have their own insurance, and because they provide their own insurance, they sort of have like the buying power, but ultimately you're not really like responsible. Yes, they have a deductible, which is kind of like annoying that they'll start taking out like little by little. It's probably like $2,000, but still, at least that's cheaper. So if somebody's paying $14,000 per year, you're paying a lot of money, probably like $1,400 per month. So probably you need to look into working for one of these bigger companies, because they got the buying power for the insurance, and I think a lot of them probably self-insured, so they're just putting that money in their pocket anyways. But at least you'll be able to have a cheaper policy, so when that's all combined, you're going to be better off anyways, especially if you have a paid for van. You don't have to have that full collision, of course, but then keep in mind, if you don't have the the full collision type of insurance, if you cause an accident, nobody's paying for you. They're paying for that person you ran into. Of course, I always choose that type of policy, because if God forbid, but if I cause an accident, at least that person's going to be covered. I will just fix my own stuff, because I already have a bunch of these sprinters, and I mean, all it is going to be pretty much the body damage. I have everything else, so I could just swap out the parts, get in another van, and I could just keep going. I actually really like Expedite because I like the ability to to just travel, you know, to experience the freedom. And part of the freedom that comes with Expedite is not having no boss breathing down your neck. And it's really important for a lot of people, including myself. You're pretty much your own boss. You're sitting behind the wheel, but you have the freedom of having your cell phone right there. You could call anybody you want. You don't have to ask anybody for permission. And chances are, a lot of expediters that I know, including myself, would actually have like, you know, they'll be watching YouTube while they're driving. Not like looking directly at it, because I think that's really not safe. But at least like listening to maybe like somebody speaking like me. It's a little bit like a podcast. And you're just listening to that person. You don't really have to watch that person, but you're driving, maybe you're falling asleep, and that is a little bit more entertaining to you, and you could just do that. But yeah, so like you have that option. But how many jobs you have that you could turn on, you know, YouTube, and you could watch YouTube at your job? Not that many. You know, I really don't know like many jobs that allows you to do that. So, you know, as far as Expedite, you know, job being romantic, yes, there is some romantic about it, because, you know, you can't treat it like a vacation, and you can't treat it like a most dreadful job ever, because yes, it is not romantic at times, you know, when it is freezing at night and you just woke up and you can't feel your toes. It is not romantic when you can't take a shower for like a couple days because you have a load that needs to really get there and you just don't have no time. That happens, you know, occasionally. Some people choose not to take a shower. That's on them. I frankly would have a fitness membership, or you know, take a shower at the fitness center, because I want to feel like a human being, that at the end of the day, when I'm done with my work, I go to the fitness center, I work out, or sometimes just look at the weights and, you know, lose weight that way. But at least I have a chance to go to the pool, go to the sauna, you know, take a shower and stuff like that. So that feels a little bit more better. And especially in the wintertime, you get the use of the hot tub, sauna, you know, that's like the best. And you could swim in the pool at the same time. So you can kind of have like a relaxing type of atmosphere, but you have to look at it like in a positive way, without forgetting the fact that you are in business. And if you work for the wrong money and for the wrong reasons, you're not going to stay in business very long. And that is just the fact of the matter. I could have easily stayed in this business and continued, but this year I decided to take a different path, and I'm really happy that I've taken that different path. It led to some other things in life that I really was hoping that's going to happen. So I'm finally seeing that stuff happen. And of course, I really enjoyed this community that we have built here. I really enjoy talking to you guys. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about some of these ideas that I just shared with you guys? Like calling up your insurance agent, say, hey, you know, for the next 4 days, I really don't need this coverage. So can you like, don't charge me? Or can you freeze it for now? You know, let's unfreeze it when I get a job. Make sure your agent is going to be able to answer the phone 24/7 for you, because what if you get a job in the middle of the night? You need those coverages really bad. You know, what's going to happen then if you can't reach your agent? So that is something to think about. But I think this is thinking outside the box. This is the kind of stuff that got me where I am today, because this is not going, you know, with the grain. This is kind of like going against the grain of understanding. And this is part of the reason why it made me a little bit more successful in life, because I really don't consider myself anybody special and like I deserve like anything that I got in life. But heck, I'm doing pretty good. You know, I'm not doing very good, but I'm doing pretty good. I'm living under my own terms still, and I'm able to get what I want in life, and I think it's really important. You know, I'm having really fun at it. So one of the things I want to spread on this channel is the positivity and creativity, you know, and to give you guys the ability to kind of like understand, and that it is important to dream, and you can achieve your dreams. You just have to put your mind to it. You have to have goals, and I would like to help you get there, you know. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, for staying with me for about 30 minutes. See you guys in my next video. So note this, guys, more Sprinter stuff, more expediting stuff, and we're going to be having a way for you guys to call in this show and talk to me at least one time a week. We're going to start with one time a week. We will move on to maybe like 2 to 3 times a week. That's the goal. If it's going to do, you know, pretty good. So anyways, guys, see you in my next video. Take care of yourself. God bless you. Stay safe. Be careful in the snow, because that is going to be kind of like scary. December is right around the corner. My name is Serge Zimaleta. I'm 37 years old, and yes, I experienced success after buying my first home for cash. Back in 2011, I was broke, but I learned to solve problems on my own. Now, I'm helping others to solve their problems. I know what pitfalls to avoid to stay profitable in business. Need motivation to be more successful in your life? Do you have sprint or expedite or business problems? Then subscribe. Let's find creative solutions to your problems. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of my helpful videos.